I loved Jamaica enough to leave my entire life behind and move there. So why, after everything I risked to get there, did I leave? Stay tuned and you'll find out. I've been actually getting a lot of questions in the comments lately, so I thought that we would kick off a new series called From the Comments. And I invite any viewer to ask questions. If I feel like I could make a whole video about it, I'll publish it and then I'll tag the viewer. A couple of weeks ago, I published a video called something like Why I Quit My Job and Moved to Jamaica. And one viewer named JustJa77 submitted a whole Oprah interview full of questions that I'm more than happy to answer in this video. So thank you, JustJa77, for these thoughtful questions. And we're just going to get started now. These questions are specifically related to that video called, what was it called? I left my safe career at 39 to move to Jamaica. I'll leave a link down in the description below so that you can go and watch it for reference if you want to. All right, here we go. I'll try and answer these in the best way possible. So the first question was, why did you leave Jamaica? My answer to that one is which time, because I've done it more than once and the answer is different each time. And then the follow-up questions were, was it because you fell out of love with the country? Was it bad vibes, or did you just miss Canada? And I feel like whenever someone leaves Jamaica for good, people usually assume the same thing. Something bad must have happened, or you must have fallen out of love with the country, or the bad outweighed the good, etc. But the truth is, it's like a relationship. It wasn't Jamaica. It was me. It was me. It wasn't Jamaica at all. And I will say that specifically related to the last video, that was the first time I tried living there in 2011, and I still did Jamaica for 8 more years after that. I just left that time because I learned that surviving without a solid plan was a lot harder than I thought. So we'll start off with 2011 internet because it was trash and I needed internet to run my blog and edit videos and communicate with the outside world. The domino effect from internet struggles was constant though. I spent new money after new money juggling between internet providers, and sometimes I would have to sit in tourist restaurants to use their Wi-Fi, which in turn caused me to have to pay tourist prices on food and drinks because you can't sit in a restaurant all day long and use their Wi-Fi and not order food and not order drinks. For example, I used to sit at Margaritaville all the time using my laptop and using their internet, but like a plate of nachos at Margaritaville is 25 bucks. That is not a sustainable internet plan. I also tried internet sticks. Back at the time, they had these little internet sticks, and it turns out those are just as unreliable as the service that I had in my apartment. And then after several months of battling it, I ended up installing an expensive landline into the apartment, which gave me amazing internet. But by that time, it was almost too late and so far gone that there would be no real recovering. I can't say at all that the online portion of my life ever got a fair shot at being an income earner, like a solid, steady income earner for me in Jamaica. The internet was just too shady. I didn't live in a major tourist town where there was solid Wi-Fi everywhere you turn. I lived outside, kind of in the bush, outside of town. Also, to my detriment in the money earning department, I was almost too kind. So when my blog readers would fly down to Jamaica and they would want me to take them places, like tour them around and see new things, I didn't really charge money. I know this is a me problem. It wasn't Jamaica, but trust me, people will take what they can get for free, whether they're Jamaican or foreign. Nobody is offering to fill your gas tank or pay for your time unless you have a price for them. You lay it out and say, this is how much it costs. So I killed them with kindness and hospitality. In the end, it ended up killing me. I loved meeting new people and seeing old friends and showing them around the island. If I could have made a full-time living doing just that in Jamaica, I think that's exactly what I would have chosen to do. But having tried a couple of tours, I learned that it's just too difficult to do for friends and blog readers because they all, considered me a friend. I had no idea what to charge them. They had no idea what to offer to pay me. So we were just pretty much at a standstill, and it was awkward. It was just awkward that there even had to be an exchange of money, honestly. And it gave me a new appreciation for Jamaican tour guide prices too. You know, when you see online how many hundreds of dollars they charge you for a day, you have to take into account not just their gas, but like the time out of their day. And while we're on the topic of, you know, ditching and moving home from Jamaica, one more thing I wanted to mention. I don't care what anyone who thinks they want to flee their country says, or how big of a dream it might sound like. You will miss your family in all of its dysfunctional glory. You will. And you'll miss your version of normalcy, whatever that happens to be. Mark my words, some days I would have killed for a block of hard cheddar cheese. Period. It wasn't easy to find back then. Like, there was no Mega Mart in Ocho Rios back then. So, like, yeah, just the comforts of home were not as easy to find back then. So that was leaving Jamaica in 2011. So now if we want to fast forward to the last time I left Jamaica, I also had an apartment down there in 2018. I was living on a totally different side of the island on the south coast. And the last time I left Jamaica, I didn't even know it was going to be the last time. So like I said, that was in 2018. And then in 2019, I had kind of decided that Jamaica had seen enough of my dollars and time. I wanted to book a trip to somewhere else. Like, I legit went to Jamaica 36 times and never went anywhere else. So in 2019, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a bucket list item. And I went to New Orleans in 2019. And let me just tell you, New Orleans was so amazing that I was like, Jamaica who? Like, it was that good. It was so good that I intended to book another trip and go back to New Orleans in 2020. But then the pandemic hit. And then, I don't know if you've ever watched the intro video to this channel, but during the pandemic, I lost my son. He passed away suddenly in September of 2020, and then pretty much everything in my life fell apart. Like, it just fell apart. I don't think I need to go into the minute details of complicated grief to tell you that when your child dies, you pretty much die along with them. I could not have cared less about Jamaica or pretty much anything else on the planet for years. I mentally blocked out everything that used to bring me joy. Because when you're in the throes of complicated grief, you feel guilty for feeling joy at all. And that's where I was for several years after 2020. And then there's a whole host of fallout from that life-altering event. I didn't work for a couple of years, so I depleted my entire savings just living because, I don't know, I just couldn't do it. I didn't care about travel. I cut off all contact with everyone I knew in Jamaica because I just didn't care. It's hard to explain. The only thing I cared about was giving myself the grace and the time to just get through it all. That's it. It was really simple. That was the simple reason why I haven't gone back to Jamaica yet. I will say that the one thing that lit a new spark in me for Jamaica was Hurricane Melissa last year in 2025. I didn't even know I had it in me to care anymore until I started watching the devastation all over social media. I was crying and crying. Like, I would sit here and watch social media and bawl, especially knowing that the Black River I knew and loved was pretty much gone. That was the last place I ever lived on the island. So of course it rocked me to my core. And that's what really lit my fire again, to be honest. And it's ultimately why I started this YouTube channel, to recount everything I have loved and learned about life through Jamaica. The next set of questions from the same viewer on that same video was, do you ever see yourself living back there? And if so, what would be the perfect condition that would entice you to go back? This is a really interesting question for me. And I guess like the short version is, yes, I think I could see myself living there again if the conditions were right, because let's take healthcare, for example. I'm a lot older now than I was back then. I have actually quite a few health problems right now, and I'm on wait lists for surgeries here. So, I mean, good old Canada, we get free health care, but that means our wait lists are years long. So, there are some non-negotiables for me as far as healthcare, and I think that is a sane reason to not want to move back there at any point soon. The biggest reason, though, honestly, the biggest reason is my dog. I adopted her at the beginning of the pandemic, and then 4 months after I adopted her is when my son died. My dog was only 6 months old at the time, and she, I would say, is the thing that got me through all of that. I'm not even going to lie. There was no human getting me through it. It was my dog. My dog really pulled me through my hardest grief years. She gave me a reason to get outside and see that there's still beauty in the world. And yeah, so she's 6.5 years old now, and I'm not going anywhere without her. And I'm not taking her to Jamaica for all the people who have said, you can take dogs to Jamaica. She's like a 95-pound ball of hair. She would die. She would just pass out on the side of the road there and give up on life. So anyways, no, I'm not going back to Jamaica until I don't have a dog anymore. And then the last question, again, from this same viewer was, if you had a choice, where would your forever home be? And so I'm not sure if the viewer meant within Jamaica or within the world. So let's start with Jamaica first. That's a really difficult question to answer because the last place I left and lived in Jamaica was in St. Elizabeth, and that's the parish, and especially Black River, that got wiped out in Hurricane Melissa. So I don't even know what that would look like anymore. If I could go back there, I have no idea if I would want to. I don't know what it's been rebuilt to. So, and a second option for me is St. Mary, because I do have long time Jamaican friends who have built up apartments there. They want to start some Airbnbs, so I may or may not have the opportunity to go there and manage those. It's already been a discussion. So I don't know. I have no idea because it's been a long time. Suffice to say, if I go back to Jamaica, I will probably do the whole island, take a couple of months to do the whole island, and then pick a spot to settle down. If the question was referring to where in the world would I go live, I can't answer that because I need to do a whole lot more bucket listing before I could make that decision. Iceland is on my list. I don't know. I really don't know. So anyways, thank you for watching this, and thank you to JustJa77 for submitting those questions. And again, this is something that I want to do more regularly. I'm going to create a playlist called From the Comments. And so if you ever have questions, put them in the comments, and I'm happy to do a video response to that if I feel like the questions would be interesting enough to an audience. So anyways, my name is Christy. This is Jamaica Made Me Do It, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.